This is your host, Universal of the Way Out podcast. I'm coming to you today, and I want to talk a little bit about parent and child education today. That's the direction that I'm looking for the Way Out podcast to go in. So I'm going to kick it off with just talking about adverse childhood experiences. And if you're not familiar with that, that deals with some of the adverse things that your child may have experienced when they were young. And I want to talk to you about how that can affect them. One thing that we start to understand now is we understand that from 0 to 7 years old, when you talk about the development, child development and things of that nature of a child, from 0 to 7 is a very impressionable time for youth that we can't even imagine. I know when we thinking of that babies, we looking at dad, gag, goo goo and stuff like that, but they actually operate off of sounds and vibrations. So they're feeling and absorbing everything way more than you can even imagine from that age. So much so that from that age, it impacts them on up. And I know this is hard because it was hard for me to really ascertain this and really digest this. Is that from you can be dealing with some things in your adult life, 30, 40s, that you experience that from 0 to 7 years of age. That's how impressionable that age is for young children. And so the system knows that. The system knows. That's why you have to be very careful and be able to guard your child accordingly. Because from that age, what the system definitely understands is that that is an impressionable time for a youngin. And if you could capture their mind and impart into them what you want, you could control their mind for a very, very long time. So I come on just to really talk to parents about the importance of your child when they're at that age. So some of the things that they talk about, they did a study with adverse childhood experiences and how, and it can impact you on up into your adulthood. And these are some of the things that I'm going to share this with you right now. Are some of the things and what that looks like and the questions that they ask pertaining to that. So what is my ACE score? So some of the questions they have in here is, did a parent or adult in the household often swear at you, act in a way that made you afraid, push, grab, slap, throw something at you, touch, fondle you or any way, touch your body in a sexual way, attempt to have oral, anal, vaginal intercourse with you. Did you often or very often feel that no one in your family loved you, thought you were special? No one in your family looked out for each other, felt close to each other. These are some of the things here. I'll leave it up so you can get a glimpse of it for yourself. But these, alcohol, drugs, these are all the things that, you answer to any one of these or one. And then what you find is on average, a lot of people have an ACE scores, I think about 7 or 8 of above. And these are the things that can affect you on up into adulthood. So it's very crucial and it's very important that we guard our young children's mind as a very young age because they absorbing a lot of things that you'll be dealing with on up into your adult life. And what that means is that it basically your subconscious at that time is very open, very absorbable, and you are taking these things in. And one thing you will learn about the subconscious is that no matter how consciously strong you want to be, if your subconscious has been riddled with certain things and have been impressionable on your mind in that way, you will be battling these things that you experience at a very young age on up in adulthood. So some of you adults out there, even not understanding why you struggle with certain things or why some of these things might be prevalent in your life or what they may be, it could be things that you experience from a very, very young age that you felt that you weren't aware of, didn't know, but your subconscious mind was open to it and you was absorbing things at that time. Especially as a baby when the mind is like a ball of clay taking in and everything. So you have a young kid per se, and he's very aggressive. He's very, argumentative, fighter type of thing. It may be because he experienced some things at a very young age that he saw that now is impressionable in his mind, and he's playing those things out and carrying those things out. So it's very important that we guard our young children's mind. Very, very important that we guard their mind. And I know sometimes that stressful things in life can cause you to do things and say things to kids that you really don't want to do, you don't mean to, because we know for the most part overall we love our children and want the best for them and want to give them the best. Sometimes we don't always go about that the correct way or the right way. We just, for whatever reasons, stress, job, bills, multiple kids, whatever the case may be. Our own experiences, sometimes children incur things at our hands that can be having a long lasting effect on them. So I want us to really be mindful of that. So when we're cursing young children out, we're using, physical, violence against them to get them to comply for expediency and control. These are things that could be doing a very, very long lasting damage and effect on their mental, on their physical. So we need to be very mindful of that, because you'll have a kid. I don't know why this kid act like that. I don't know where this come from or why that happened. It was things that they saw, things that they witnessed, and things that they experienced at a very young age out there. So we have to be very, very mindful of these things. So I left this up there for a little while for you to get a good glimpse of what these things are, and maybe you can be mindful of those things and be aware of them. And if there a way to kind of curtail those things when they get older, yes, it's called the reprogramming of their subconscious and of their mind. And so that takes a lot of work, but it's doable. So I just come on and just share that little bit of piece with you in terms of adverse childhood experiences, and what does that mean, and what does that entail, and how at a very young age kids can experience some very damaging things that they can go on and experience on up until their adulthood. And you can't even imagine, like, somebody tell you something you experienced at 5 could be hampering you at 35. It's like, no, that was 5 years. No, it's real talk. So be mindful of that. And I just come on, I want to share that little tidbit with you um, from the Parent and Educational Forum of the Way Out podcast. So I'm your host, Universal, just coming through, sharing some knowledge with you, and sharing some energy and dropping some energy on you regarding our young people and our youth. That's been my forte of what I've been involved in for a number of years. And I feel that's the direction I want to take this podcast in, is really just out there helping youth and guiding youth at this juncture. So I thank you for coming on. I thank you always for your support. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. I mean, anything that can be beneficial to help someone else out in this matter, especially when you're dealing with parenthood, because let's face it, parenthood is difficult. It's very challenging, you know, and wow, my hat goes out to, a lot of parents out there, and, working to man this thing that as best they can. Like they say, the kids don't come with a book, but there are books out there that can help you, but they don't come with a manual, and we have to figure this thing out. And a lot of times the kids don't ask to be brought into certain situations that they are part of, and it's not their fault. And we have to be careful what some of the things and what hand that they may suffer from as a result of our decisions that we make as adults of bringing kids into this world, into certain situations, circumstances, and certain conditions. And then they may be the brunt of our frustration or what have you on certain things. So we got to be mindful of that and make sure that we understand that during that time of 0 to 7 years old and on up beyond that. But that's a very crucial time of very nurturing, your kid, and putting that the positive and good things in their spirit, because that's what they're gravitating to the most at that age. So it's very essential and very important that we do that, because children learn what they live. Simple as that. We could tell them, don't do as I say, don't do as I do as I say. But especially in this time, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. That does not work. And they are really watching you every move. And like I said, they're very absorbent. So they're looking at everything you're doing. So no matter what you say out your mouth, they're watching your actions. And that's what's going to mean the most to them, right? They say you might not remember what a person said to you, but they always remember how they made you feel. So let's make sure we're making our kids feel good as much as possible, and given the light of our situation, our circumstances, let's shower as much love as we can on them, and much encouragement and much nourishment as possible when we're dealing with our young ones out there. This is your host, Universal, coming through. As always, peace and love.